Yo, what's up? What's up? This is Antonio Knox, and you are listening to the Gradient. What is it? It's the podcast or the radio. It's a radio. Yeah, so I'm actually going through the process of just trying to figure out if I want to call it the podcast or the radio. What do you think?
I like Gradient Radio. That has a nice ring to it.
Yeah.
You know, I like that.
Yeah.
And then, like you said, it can evolve with radio if you want to have little music vibe sessions. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
I can see you doing your version of Selection.
See, that's what I was thinking, right?
Yeah.
So I was like, if I call it radio, is it, trying to kind of like compete with them?
No, I think radio is like radio for everybody.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, radio been around since before you and I, and it'll continue.
Facts.
You know, like radio's never going away.
Yeah, never.
know?
Yeah.
Just like broadcast TV. Like, cable networks might die, but TV ain't going nowhere. Like Fox and NBC, and you know what I mean?
Yep, so. It always transfer into something else.
Yeah.
But it will always be the same.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. So we have a special guest today. Incredible artist, incredible person, incredible man. Ron Stokes.
I appreciate that. That's a big intro right there.
I mean, I'm trying to get used to introducing people, and it's vastly different. Like when you have to talk to the cameras or the mic.
Yeah.
How are you?
I'm good, man. How are you?
I'm good, man.
Yeah.
Good, man. Just taking it one day at a time.
All right. That's the best way.
So a lot of people may not know who you are.
Mm-hmm.
So could you introduce yourself and tell the people who you are?
So I am Ron Stokes, the artist, Ron Stokes.
The artist.
The artist. Just the art. We only talking about the art today. So just the artist, Ron Stokes.
Yes.
I'm probably, most people would, or I don't know if most people call me this, but most people now call me this because I call myself this. I define myself as like an abstract muralist. I have a background in street art, graffiti, and merge that with abstract fine art stylings to kind of develop my own style. And from that, I use that to tell a narrative and stories. So yeah, the artist Ron Stokes.
That's incredible because so many people know you for like so many other things.
Yeah. I wear a few hats, and I've been wearing them well. So
yeah. So how did you get into the arts?
So it's always funny because people always say like, when did you start?
Yeah.
When did you become an artist? And so for me, I always define it as like, I started doing graffiti when I was 12.
Okay.
But if you ask my mother, she'll tell you when I was 6, I used to take pages of blank paper and fold them in half and staple them and turn them into books. And I would create my own sketchbooks, and then I would fill them with characters and stories. Okay. Right? And so like I've been doing art my whole life. But in terms of like doing street art, that started at 12. Like I don't know when I became a professional artist. I was trying to think about this the other day. It just kind of emerged into that. I think I did my first gallery show at like 18 maybe.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But art with me is always, I've woven in and out of it. Okay. Right? There were times where I was more outwardly artistic, and there were times where I was more inwardly. Yeah. Right?
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah. It seems like, you're kind of like in a space right now where you're kind of like merging both worlds together by doing like the graffiti and like painting on canvases, because naturally graffiti artists their canvas is a wall. Yeah. Right? Like, so how did you get into mixing both of those together?
So I'll tell you honestly, one of my biggest annoyances as a graffiti artist, a muralist, is you put so much work and effort into a wall and you walk by it one day and it's gone. They painted over it because someone else bought the building, because someone else had a different idea. And not even other graffiti artists, just whoever, like, is one day it has your work of art and the next day it's blank. So you can imagine putting hours and days into a painting, and then like you walk by it one day and it's a blank canvas again. It's gone. And you like, yo. And so part of that, and then I even started to look at the economics of a graffiti artist and the impact we had on our communities. And for me, putting my name on a wall, I didn't feel comfortable with it anymore, because I knew the impact in certain communities. You look at how it drives down the value of someone's property. And for me, I was like, okay, I don't want to be a part of bringing it down. I want to bring it up. And I found murals to bring it up. Okay. But then I found, okay, but I don't like it when y'all buff my work. So I started thinking like, how can my work live on? Where should I be putting my work? What's the best places for it? And
Yeah.
I was like, I want to be in everybody's living room.
Mm.
And that was my initial transition, the initial concepts, even the hashtag I still use to this day, alleyways to living rooms.
Okay.
Because I started in
That's
the alleyway,
fire. Yeah, yeah.
but now I want to be in your living room.
Mm.
I'm good with being in your alleyways, but now I want to be in your living room. And for me, it was like, all right, well, how do I transition? Because everybody just doesn't want like a graffiti piece in their living room.
Yeah.
So I started looking around. I started studying. I'm a self-taught artist, and I was like, all right, let's look at. I like abstract work. I like abstract work because people can see what they want in it, right?
Yeah.
And I began to merge those stylings.
Yeah.
So I started to bring in that abstract work with that street art influence
Mm-hmm.
and merge them together.
Yeah.
But what's dope is now I take those same stylings I used to get in your living room, and now I'm bringing them back to the streets, right?
Because
So
doing the murals now.
yeah, so
Yeah.
I've always done murals, but now my murals are starting to be more abstract work
Okay.
than they are like the more street stuff I used to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I definitely like that. You probably need to copyright this, but or get a trademark on the alleyways to like living rooms.
Yeah.
Like that's super fire, bro.
Yeah. That was when I first started posting my work like on Instagram and things like that. Everybody was like, "Oh, you need a hashtag," and I was like, that was the one that stuck. And so yeah, that was yeah.
So when you made that transition from the alleyway into getting into people's living rooms, what was that process like? You know, potentially finding clients. Were you just like doing it yourself at first and then putting your work out there? What was that transition process to getting to like where you're at now?
So I really had to find my style. It was almost like reinventing yourself, and I had to find something that I still enjoy doing, because that's the important part of it. One of the dope things about where I'm at in my life is I have the opportunity to say no.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I'm successful enough that I can say no, I don't want to do that. And so for even with my work, I wanted to find a style that I still enjoy creating. And so it's funny. I found that style. God, maybe like 10 years. I don't know. We'll say 10 years. But when I figured it out, it just clicked. It was like a light bulb moment. That's one of those paintings. I know I told you earlier off radio that we talked about. I have a private collection.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And that painting is in my collection. I'll never sell that painting because that painting, like, founded, it was the fundamental styles and techniques of what became who I am now.
Yeah.
And so that's like, it's the original sketch. You know what I mean? I'm like, that'll never sell.
That's how you found your voice.
Yeah.
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 Refound my voice.
Yeah. Refound your voice.
And so, yeah, I figured that out. From there, it just grew. You know, when I was first starting in art, there wasn't social media.
Yeah.
And social media has changed the game.
Changed the game.
It's definitely like you could have a website or something, but nobody knows where your website is if you don't tell them.
Yep.
But through social media, it's definitely opened the world up. I mean, I interact with artists around the country, around the world now. Yeah.
It seems like you use your social media as a portfolio.
It is, and it's dope. I remember when I first started on social media, I used to just post everything. Like, look at this, look at that, look at this, look at that.
You be posting memes and all that?
Not really memes, but like there was no real, I hate to say there was no real strategy. And now I feel like there's more of a strategy to social media.
It is.
Like I used to just post whatever.
Yeah.
And shouts out to Lauren White, because she changed my entire concept of what it was. I tell you what's funny is my original Instagram name, so that the Instagram name I'm known by now, Views by Stokes, that wasn't even the name.
Okay.
I had this other name where I phonetically spelled out my name.
Okay.
And Lauren was like, "What is this? How do you say that? Like, nobody knows what this is." And so she really she helped lay the groundwork of all that. So shouts out to her. But yeah, I had no idea what I was doing at first. I didn't even like edit photos.
Okay,
so
you just post it.
You as your background in photography, you probably like, what?
Yeah.
You just posted the photo?
Nah.
Dim light?
That's not what it's for, especially Instagram.
Yo.
It's supposed to make those edits, bro.
Yeah. I didn't edit. I didn't do anything. I just posted it. I might put like one hashtag or something. Like, it was trash back in the day.
Yeah.
And so I've gotten a lot better at it now. But yeah, that definitely helped open the world and allow networking connectivity in different ways.
So, what is the philosophy behind Views by Stokes?
The philosophy.
Yeah, because
Sheesh.
when I think of Views, obviously I think of like Drake.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So what's the meaning behind Views by Stokes?
Yes.
All right. So, and this goes back, and it's funny. You're the first person to ask me this in all my existence. As long as I've been doing this, no one's ever asked, why is your name Views by Stokes, or why is your website Views by Stokes?
Yeah.
So when I found my style is an abstract. So when I kind of transitioned from street art, I found street art very easy because it was a word. The basic element of every mural started with a word, and it grew from there. So with that, you always knew how I felt immediately.
Yeah.
If I was angry, I used the word anger. If I was, whatever that feeling was, that was the word you used. You knew how I felt.
Yeah.
So when I went to abstract, the first challenge I had as an artist was, how do I convey how I'm feeling without using words?
Yeah.
And so that was originally one of my first hashtags, no words.
No words.
Because every piece I have doesn't have, and I had to be very intentional. Mm-hmm. I've gone back on some of that now where I'll use words in like background ways.
Yeah.
But I was like, how do I convey messages with no words? And so the very first piece I had out, so every piece I do is influenced by a conversation, an interaction, a story, a moment in my life. And every painting has one name based upon that individual. Now, some of those names I have tweaked because they are people I know. And sometimes I was like, I don't really want them to know I did this painting about them. So some names I have given nicknames.
Yeah.
But every painting I have done has a name. Mm-hmm. And so when I looked at the art I was creating now, it was a view of how I'm seeing the world. Mm. It was a still from a movie, right?
Yeah.
A single picture from a movie, a single picture from a moment in my life. And so when I looked at that, I was like, it's a view. Views by Stokes.
That's fire.
So that's great. It's funny. No one's ever asked me that question.
That's fire.
Yeah.
I mean that's the point of this
this
podcast.
So that's the concept, that's the philosophy, that's the meaning behind Views by Stokes. So it's my views of the world. And so
yeah, I remember you were telling me when you had your show before the pieces that you had were going to the hotel.
Yeah.
And you were telling me how you were inspired by like particular kind of things.
Oh yeah. I mean, and it's funny because I had this conversation with someone at the pop-up market we did the other night.
Yeah.
And someone was like, wow, what's this one? What's the story on that one? And so like, it's funny sometimes when you have to describe the stories behind paintings, because some of them are like these amazing stories where you're like, oh my God, I was inspired by this moment in India, and there was different generations and culturals and molding together and flying clouds of color in the air. And then like, okay, well, tell me about this painting. It's like, yeah, I was watching Incredible Hulk the other day. And it came to me. So, I mean, but that's what life is. Like, you'll have these moments of amazing seriousness, and then like sometimes you're just sitting around the house watching TVs. You get inspired. So, I'm giving you that's my world, man.
I think that's what makes artists like so dope, because they can make up something and it would have like this incredible meaning behind it.
Yeah.
They could just be like watching TV and just kind of like create this world on canvas.
Yeah.
And people would kind of like resonate with it.
Yeah.
I remember when I sent you the piece of the guy, it was like this installation he was supposed to create from this museum.
Yeah.
And he just gave him like a white canvas.
Yeah.
And he named it Take the Money and Run.
Yep.
So it's like artists can do things like that all of the time and just.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if you've ever noticed, I have a white painting hanging in my house. Have you ever noticed that painting?
Nah.
There's a white painting hanging in my house, and everyone that sees it goes, is this finished? And I'm like, yeah. So, I mean, what's great, there's some textures and things on it, but I used all white. And I was inspired by an artist that did something like that, where the painting was pretty much like, if you just looked at it, you would think, okay, that painting's not finished, it's blank. But for me, that's probably one of my favorite paintings, again, in a private collection, that I've never shown it outside my home. But for me, it's one of my favorites because I see the possibilities in it.
Wow.
Right?
Yeah.
And so when I look at that one, I see so much more than when I look at a painting with a bunch of stuff on it.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's the dope thing about art. Unfortunately, I feel like I get what that artist was trying to do.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And I mean, he clearly got across his message that he was trying to get across. But yeah, it's a funny story looking at it. Like I mean, he took the money and ran.
He took the money. He took
it. Yeah.
So I want to get back to just being like a kind of like an abstract artist.
Okay.
What does abstract mean to you?
I love abstracts. Really resonated with me when I looked at different stylings, because though I'm painting my view and my story, you can look at it and see your own perspective and your own story, right? Yeah. That's the beautiful thing I love about that, because when I'll do shows, people will come up to me and say, okay, I see how like the clouds are like merging with the birds. And I'm like, I didn't paint the clouds and a bird. Like, I didn't paint none of that. But I love it at the same time, because they're seeing something in it, and it's like they're forming a connection with something that I ain't even intend to do. And I think that's so dope, that like you can look at something and take something completely different than the next person, but it's still impactful.
Yeah.
And that's what really made me want to use less words, because I was like, now I think it opens up more of an audience.
Yeah. So how did you find the way to use less words? Was it through color, or was it through how you kind of painted something on?
So I mean, it's color, it's pattern, it's texture, it's like I'll even play with like the gloss of the paint.
Okay.
So I may start with a matte and then layer a heavy high gloss, right? Yeah. Or even like the paint I was showing you the other day, where the paint changes color as you move, right? And so all these things come together to just create, and that's the thing I was telling someone the other day, like digitally it's hard to convey the same message as in person.
Yeah.
And so when you see my work in person, where it's like you can see the layers and the texture and all those different things. Yeah. And I think all that comes together to really tell the story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. No, I definitely see that.
And you kind of use it too to like make certain things pop, right?
Yeah.
Versus other things that it's like, all right, that's the foreground, that's the background. It gives it depth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you also spoke about how, you kind of have like a 9-to-5 job, 9-to-5 day job.
Yep.
And you are in a space now that you don't necessarily have to like work for money too much.
Yeah.
That you can just like live out your passion.
Mm-hmm.
How does it feel to be in that pocket right there?
I think it's amazing. And, I've got a few guys that we're all artists, and we all have multiple streams of income. And the dopest piece about that is you don't have to sacrifice.
Mm-hmm.
Because I know so many artists that are like, yo, I just need to get this check because I got to pay my rent.
Yeah.
So I got to paint this purple dinosaur on the side of a building right now, or, I need to eat.
Yeah.
And the dope thing about being an artist that isn't hungry is I can do what I want.
Yeah.
Right? Because I'm not, like, even when it comes to paintings, like, I don't know if you and I have had this conversation, but, like, I could start putting people in my work.
Yeah.
And my work will sell 10 times faster.
Yeah.
Because even when you look at, like, African American artists, a lot of the most well-known ones are, like, they do figures, they do things like that.
Yeah.
No shade to those that are doing that or aren't doing that, but I've looked even like what's selling next to me when I do gallery shows that are like group exhibits, and people gravitate naturally to those pieces where like they can see a person in it or some more readily identifiable objects, right? I mean, you'd be surprised how many times people ask me to paint a picture of something, of a family member or of a dog or a bowl of fruit. I'm just like, that's not me. But I could say no.
Yeah.
Because I don't need that bag. So I'm good on that. And it allows me to be even more creative.
Yeah.
And so I love it. I remember there was a time where I was hungry, and I took the occasional project just because I was like, yo.
Yeah, you got to start from somewhere.
You got to start from somewhere. I'm hungry. This food ain't gonna buy itself,
Yeah.
But I love where the space I'm in now, you know, and the fact that people appreciate it, right? Because that was the thing. It was like, all right, I created this style. It's dope. It looked good on my living room wall, but like,
Yeah.
how's it gonna resonate with others?
Other people. Yeah.
And so it's always nice to get that feedback. But I don't create for others.
Yeah.
I create for myself.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Same. Typically, like when I put out any body of work, I'm not
Yeah.
necessarily thinking of like other people when I put it out.
Yeah.
I'm not thinking about their responses. Like if it moves me,
Yeah.
then I feel as if like it potentially will move others. But
Yeah.
like in the process of creating, I'm not creating for someone else for them to have a response to.
Yep. And that's the dopest. I just go and paint.
Yeah.
I paint what I want to paint.
Yeah.
You know, and how like even when I do commissions, you know, people are like, you know, when they first come up, I'm like, well, what are you trying to do? Oh, I'm trying to do this, this, and that. And can you put this, this, and that? And I'm like, nah.
Yeah.
That's not me.
Yeah. Just do what you want.
So like my favorite commissions, you know, I'll just get into commissions for a moment, but like I love when people just say, I just like the color orange. Just do something with the color orange. Those are my favorite.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yo, you might even get a discount on this commission because they like, look, I need this size and just work some orange into it.
Yeah.
Done. You know, because I you know.
Those are the best clients that just allow you to just be who you are.
Yeah.
Because they see your work, they love your work, and they don't try to conform you to being something else. They see the work and they're like, I want this.
Yeah. I had someone come in, they were like, yeah, I need a Superman logo, I need a tree, I need a dog barking. I was like, yeah, that's not me.
Yeah. So you can imagine if you were like on the other side, if your job wasn't as fruitful, you probably would take those.
I mean, you almost have to. Like,
yeah.
I mean, we all got rent.
Yeah.
We all got to eat every day, you know? And it's only but so much you only get but so far. Like, you're going to have to take some of those jobs.
Yeah.
Hopefully you can get jobs that fall in line with what you're trying to do.
Mm-hmm.
And thankfully, a lot of people, when it comes to art, are very open, right? And they're like, all right, yeah, I like your style, I like what you're doing, do something like that.
Yeah.
But, I mean, you do get the people that are like, I want to dictate exactly what you do.
Yeah.
And it's nice being able to be like, nah, but I know this person. You know, send them your way, send them that way. So.
Yeah. I posted something on Instagram like 2 days ago, and it was speaking about like how you have like tier of like clients.
Yeah.
Like you have a client that pays like $50, and then you have like another client that pays like $5,000.
Yeah.
And a client who pays $50, they have like all of these like specifications and the things that they want. And a client who's like 5,000, you know, they like, that's cool. We want that.
That's interesting.
Is it kind of like the same way when you have like tier clients? Are there ones that are who don't pay as much? They want so many things, and the clients who pay more, they like just do whatever.
You know, that's interesting. I never really looked at it from that perspective, but I definitely can relate to some of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, some of my biggest projects, when I think about it, people that came with the big bags, and they definitely were like, yeah, just do what you want. You know, show me what you're going to do.
Yeah.
And then they good. Like, and then that's the nervous part where you're like, all right, I'm going to show them, but like, are they about to come back with like 22 critiques? And so like, you know, one of the big commissions I just wrapped up, I showed them what I was going to do, and they were like, all right, cool. I was like, that's it? All right, bet, let's go. So, yeah, thankfully I haven't had like a rough commission in a while, so I'm doing good on that front.
Yeah,
we're gonna keep that energy going. We're gonna keep that energy going.
Do you think that's a mindset thing? Like, do you think it comes with like, do you think it's a mindset thing that like, you know, these clients who are like in like different tiers, and the ones who pay not as much versus the ones who pay much, like their mindset is vastly different because they have much more in abundance when it comes to like the money?
You know, that's an interesting conversation. It really starts to get into like the finance side of me, right? And so like I'm gonna have to change my hat for a moment. And I think it may relate to the fact when you got less to spend, you need it right. You know what I'm saying? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
If you got more to spend, you probably got more
chances.
More chances to get it right.
Okay.
like if this is the only 50 I got and I'm giving it to this one dude,
Yeah.
I need it to be like perfect.
Yeah, because there's no other opportunity.
And there's no bounce back. This is it.
Yeah.
You know? I mean, yeah, I don't even know how to relate it, but like, yeah, and you think someone that might have a little bit more, they might be like, all right, if it ain't just right, I'll get another one.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
So there might be some of that
Yeah.
in there. I could see that.
Yeah. I didn't think about that perspective until now. So like when you start to think about it now, it changes it. It changes it a bit.
I think if you ain't got it, you need it right.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how does it feel to go from alleyways to hotels?
Man, it's dope. It's dope. It's and not even just hotels. It's weird. You know what I mean? And I'll tell you, here's why it's weird. And I used to struggle with. I think I'm better with it now, but I really struggled at first because a graffiti artist is one of the most anonymous people.
Yeah.
You don't know who we are.
Yeah.
And we don't talk to you.
Yeah.
Like, you wake up one morning and there's something dope on the wall.
Mm.
And you appreciate it.
Facts, yeah.
You know? I mean, even with murals, like, you could blink and you might have missed when someone painted a mural.
Yeah.
I did a mural around the corner from you and you didn't even know it.
Nah,
you know what I mean?
I had no idea, bro.
And so that's what I mean. Like, you're there for a couple days and then I'm gone.
Yeah. Yeah.
But the piece lives on and people see it weeks, months later,
Yeah.
right? But I'm never standing next to it.
Mm.
Yeah. And that's another thing social media has changed. Because now, because you're connected with me on social, you see what I'm doing.
You see it, yeah.
You know who I am.
Yeah.
You know, like I remember when social first started, I didn't really put my face on there.
Yeah.
And so you'll have people that walk up to you and like, yo, I seen your work. It's dope.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I appreciate that. You know, and so for me, that was hard at first.
Yeah.
You know, and kind of like, and so I never forget, my daughter came home one day and she was like, I was at my friend's house. It was a new friend of hers. And she was like, I was sitting there chilling. I look up at the wall and your painting was on her wall. And she didn't know the girl. Like, you know, she had recently connected with the person. It wasn't like an old friend.
Yeah.
And like, I didn't even know that my painting was hanging on this person's wall.
Wow.
I still got to figure out how they got it. It was a print of mine.
Okay.
So at some point they must have bought it from me.
Yeah.
But because I've sold so many prints now, I don't know where all my work is. And so, yeah, she was like, I looked up at the wall, your painting was on there. She was like, I didn't realize, like, and so, like, that's the crazy part now where you, like, walk in somewhere and you see paintings of yours hanging in places.
Yeah.
And so, like, when you bring up the hotel, like, it's crazy. Like, and that was a whole series.
Yeah.
It wasn't a painting.
Mm-hmm.
An entire floor of a hotel, my work is just hanging in it. You know what I mean? And it's wild. I'm appreciative, bro. I'm thankful for all the opportunities I've been given.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a wild feeling, man, to know that like someone appreciated me on this level.
Mm-hmm.
Because even the commission came from someone not in Richmond.
Yeah.
And to know that like your work is appreciated. I mean, I can say I know I can tell you I have paintings hanging from Boston to Georgia, West Coast. You know, just because I know some of the addresses I've sent them to and some of the people that have bought them. But yeah, it's wild to know that your work is in all these places. I mean, and that was the goal, right? To get out the alleyways into the living room.
Exactly.
But and there's more living rooms than alleyways.
Yeah. Facts.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
facts. Yeah.
So yeah, the walls got increased.
Yeah. Plus, people don't really walk down like alleyways.
Not like they used to. So yeah, the visibility has changed as well. So it's wild, man. And then like you see someone like will post something online, and you like, yo, that's my work in the background. That's wild. You know? Yeah, it's cool, man. Especially I love like murals too, because you know you'll see someone like dancing in front of your artwork, or someone playing an instrument. Someone sent me something where a young man was playing a trombone in front of one of my murals, and I was like, yo, that's so hard. That's so dope.
Yeah, the experience is vastly different.
Yeah.
Is there a different level of appreciation when people would purchase a print versus a canvas?
No, because I realize there's different levels to collectors, right? I've just learned that through my gallery work, right? I've learned that you've got your people that are just starting to collect.
Yeah.
You got people that don't understand the value of a piece of artwork. And there's two pieces of that. You got the people that don't understand the cost that it creates to create a piece of artwork.
Yeah.
And then you have the people that don't understand the investment into art. You know, it's like you start talking about NFTs and cryptocurrency. Well, artwork was the original crypto. Artwork was the original.
Facts.
You know, people have been using art for currency for, you know, centuries.
Yep.
You know, you look at like people with big contracts, you could pay them with a Basquiat. You know what I mean?
Yeah, facts.
So you got people that'll get paid in artwork.
Yeah.
So artwork was a currency long before all that.
Yes.
And so
yes.
And so you look at like even now, you know, you look at someone that might have copped a painting from me 5 years ago.
Yeah.
They could sell it for more.
Yeah, different valuation.
Yeah, the value's gone up.
Yeah.
And so it's an investment. A lot of people don't see that because unfortunately, so you got a lot of people that just buy a painting from Target, a mass-produced, digitally reprinted. There's no value in that, right? When you're done with that painting, you pretty much throw it away.
Yeah.
It's put on. It's barely put on a quality frame.
Yeah.
You know, you drop it one time and the whole thing falls apart.
Yeah.
And so yeah, a lot of people don't understand like, and even like the cost to create like, you know, I had someone once try to do a commission, and they were like, well, why does it cost? Of course, every week comes when they first want a commission. They're like, I need a pace that's like 6 feet by like 4 feet. I'm like, okay. I'm like, just so you know, the canvas alone is hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of dollars.
Wow.
And then when you start talking about the paint and things like that, and don't get me in the oil paint thing. I'm almost thankful I'm not an oil painter because
that sounds expensive.
Oil paint is like $20 a tube.
And the tubes are like really small.
And
right?
the tubes are small. So if you want that, and so sometimes people don't understand why paintings cost thousands of dollars. Well, it probably costs almost $1,000 to create it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So a lot of people don't understand the cost behind it. So I don't mind the person that wants a print or if they want a frame print. And that was so I kind of realized like there has to be levels because everybody's not going to want an original at the price an original costs.
For sure.
And one thing for me, you know, I'm big about accessibility.
Yeah.
Whatever avenue I'm talking about, I believe there should be access for everyone.
Yeah.
And even when it comes to art, an important thing for me, and that's why even when I price out my prints, I always want to make sure I have an accessible print.
Yeah.
Right? Because I don't want to only have stuff that's hundreds of dollars. Like a kid walked up to me at the night market and was like, yo, I love your work. And I gave him a little discount because I was like, you know what? And he was like in love with this one piece. He came back, stared at it 3 times. And I said, look, he was like, how much is it? And I said, you know, for you, it's this.
Yeah.
And he was like, really? I said, yeah. I was like, if you want it, you know, because I saw the value that he had in it and the appreciation.
Yeah.
He was going to appreciate that print a whole lot more.
For sure. You saw it.
I saw it.
Yeah.
Like, bro, he got some duct tape on the back of that joint stuck to his wall right now.
Yeah.
And like for him, it's impactful. And like he's gonna look at that joint and like he might be the next artist. That might have changed his whole world. You know what I mean? And so like I'm not gonna be like, nah, you can't have it because you don't have X number of dollars.
Yeah.
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 So when it comes to accessibility, which medium do you think is much more accessible? Is it prints or is it like merch?
For me, it's probably prints because my merch is usually a little bit more than my prints.
Okay.
Only because I'm not selling 200, 300 of anything.
Okay.
And so, and also all the merch that I have, high quality.
Yeah.
It's like the shirts that I do, they've got my paintings, they're digital prints, you know what I mean? And so, because I'm not on a scale of like Target where I'm selling thousands.
Sure.
So it is more. Yeah.
But
if I got on a larger scale of selling them, I probably could bring down the price. But you know, supply and demand.
Yeah, facts. Like I told you, I love the shirt. That's why I bought it twice because I love the way it looks on me. I love the way it feels. Like
that's about to be a vintage too, because I'm not running that one again. So you got a vintage piece.
Vintage. Yeah.
I think I got like literally 2 more in the inventory. When they're gone,
yeah,
that's it.
Yep.
So nah, but I mean I enjoy doing, and again the merch again was about accessibility. It was, I had honestly never thought about putting a painting on a shirt.
Mm-hmm.
And someone came to me and they were like, "Yo, you should put a painting on a shirt." And I was like, "All right, well I'll try it."
Yeah.
And so I did a small run on those,
Okay.
and they sold well. And then I did one other one; those were sold well.
Yeah.
I don't know. Someone now was like, "Well, what's the next painting you're gonna put on a shirt?" I'm like, "I don't know."
You don't know if you're going to be consistent with that.
Yeah, that's something I enjoy doing. It's actually great for when I do like pop-ups and things like that.
Yeah.
They're great for that.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm sure I will do more, but I don't have one planned.
Yeah.
I did drop that one shirt recently, just because I loved the message behind it. But even that one, I did a small limited run, so we'll see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So you did speak. Well, you started off in the alley. Then
Yeah.
you got to the living rooms, and then it's kind of like a full circle moment going to walls.
Yeah.
Or just going back to like the exterior of things.
Yeah.
How does it feel to do murals, or just and to have an impact with doing murals now?
So here's a funny thing, and I was talking to another well-known artist from the city about this, and both of our backgrounds are in street art. You never lose that itch to do it. So it's like it never really felt like I was away from it. You know what I mean? Plus even the art I do on canvas, I'm using spray cans, I'm using acrylics, I'm using some of those same mediums. So
Yeah.
I've still, my studio, I still got like 200, 300 spray cans just stocked and ready. But the itch to hit a wall never really went away. And so, I've probably done some of my biggest walls recently.
Yeah.
But I've done walls in people's homes. I've done them in businesses.
Really?
Yeah. I started doing the math on how many walls I did this year.
Okay.
And I was like, yeah, I've been I didn't realize how busy I was this year. But yeah, it's dope to go back to the streets with more of my new style.
Okay.
If anything, that's probably been the biggest change.
Yeah.
And so I was always, with the first couple I did maybe a year or two ago, when I came with the new style I've been doing, it was interesting to see what kind of feedback I was gonna get. But the feedback's been good. People are always just happy to see art.
Yeah.
Especially when you do it in areas. Some of the projects I've been on lately have really been about accessibility to art and bringing art to those areas. Like the project I did in Mosby Court, More Than Art, where it was just like we're bringing artwork to an area that normally doesn't get murals.
Yeah.
To do that, and that one was like big for me because you talk about inspired by a moment or a person. I was actually inspired by my nephew. Not that he lives in a great area, but the concept of a kid that doesn't have the ability to even go to like the VMFA.
Yeah.
Because all he got is a bike.
Yeah.
He ain't got no bus pass. He ain't got no car. He might not even know the VMFA exists.
Yeah, facts.
But to know he can ride down the street on his bike, look up, and it's museum quality, gallery quality artwork on his wall.
Yeah.
That was a huge inspiration.
Yeah.
Right? And so I really been loving that project. And I was very intent when I did that to not make it more street. I wanted it to be more something I will put on a canvas.
Gallery,
because I wanted to give him the gallery.
Yeah.
So if he never has the opportunity to get there, now he has it in his backyard.
Yeah, he has an awareness of that.
So yeah.
I don't think I even thought about that perspective, that like some of these places are kind of like art deserts.
Yeah,
I didn't think about that. Yeah.
Unfortunately, a lot of murals go up in nicer areas, like nice murals.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Quality murals.
Yeah. When I look at the Richmond mural project that they had like a couple years ago, majority of those murals are like in like the Fan, or they're not like on the south side.
It's a little more gentrified.
Yeah.
It's a little nicer.
Yeah.
You're walking down the street at night.
Yeah.
I ain't gonna front. Some of the places I've done murals, I'm like, all right,
you're not walking down the
sun's
street
going
at night.
down. It's time to get up out of here.
Yeah.
No shade to those areas, but the reality is they don't get all the stuff we get.
Yeah.
You know.
Facts.
And I thought that was unfortunate. I think artists for everybody. Everybody should have access to it. So it was important for me to be a part of that project. And and we've got more stuff planned down the road. So I'm looking forward to doing more of those. The goal for them is to hit every court in Richmond.
Okay.
And so they did Mosby. Got a couple more coming. So
Yeah.
and I think that's dope. You know,
So what was the name of that organization?
More Than Art.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then you also did some work for another organization, Mending Walls.
Yeah, so this year I also did something with Mending Walls. That's a great organization. It grew out of the protests, the civil unrest that was going on during the pandemic. And what's dope about them is they take artists from different backgrounds and allow them to tell stories on walls. And you saw when it first kind of started, you saw a lot of things about the civil unrest. But what's dope about them as an organization is they began to tell other stories as well, because unfortunately in our community, racism isn't our only problem.
Yeah.
You know?
Facts. Yeah.
And so for them, they're like, all right, we really tackled that, but what else needs to be brought awareness to? And so originally I was supposed to do season 1, but I came in during season 2 when they now open the door to talking about mental health. They're talking about prison reform, I believe. But my project was all about food deserts and food justice.
Yeah.
And man, we did an amazing project, myself and another artist by the name Lucky Signs, Miss Sarah. We worked on a Sarah Apple. I thought I was like, that's the dopest artist name.
Sarah Apple.
Sarah Apple. I was like, you made that name up. I was like, nah, that's my birth name. But we did a project with Mending Walls over at the Sankofa Orchard with Duran Chavis, which this dude, if you don't know who he is, man, and the stuff he's doing in the city, it's crazy. Like, but he literally created a community orchard over 80 different fruit trees, and you can just walk up and pull whatever you want from the tree.
Yeah.
And now, if that wasn't enough, now he's turning it into like an art garden. And so he started with the work we did. And it was land. There were no walls.
Yeah.
So we had to create a vision as artists. Like, what are we gonna do? So we had to create a freestanding wall. He had a container there. So as soon as we saw that, we were like, yeah, we're hitting that. But since then, he's gone on to add, I think, like 10 walls. And now he's adding sculpture work.
Yeah.
And he's adding so much. This place, I'm like, can I just live here? And he's doing projects like that all around the city. And it brings awareness. But and it's that same thought when you think about the kid riding his bike down the street. Now he has art.
Yes.
You think about these gardens that he created. Now a kid can like ride his bike down the street.
Yeah.
And pluck an apple off the tree.
Yeah.
And here's the crazy thought. There's 80 different fruits, right? This kid probably ain't tasted all them fruits.
Nah.
And now this same kid has an opportunity to try all these different fruits.
Yeah.
I mean, I was a grown man until I found out what some of these things were. And now, again, it's accessibility.
Yeah.
In an area that didn't have it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's just another thing we're trying to tackle, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Accessibility and awareness.
Yeah.
Awareness. Yeah. It seems like that's what Duran Chavis has created for
Oh,
people.
yeah. Brings a lot of awareness to food justice. I'm working on a piece now for another organization, and it grew from a story I heard from him about the black farmer, and I'm working on a piece about that.
Okay.
And just the story of the black farmer, I never really thought about it, and I mean, we can go into a whole nother conversation about that, but where we came from and everything we knew, we dropped to run to the big city when we got freedom. Yeah. Because it reminded us too much of where we were from and the injustice we suffered. Yeah. But it was our strength and we left it. It was a superpower we had. And we left our superpower as farmers and growers and carers for the earth to run to the big city. And it wasn't much there for us. So I'm telling that story abstractly right now.
Nice. Looking forward to that. That seems like it's gonna be fire.
Yeah.
Seems like it's gonna be fire. It's gonna be like impactful.
Yeah. That's the goal.
To be able to tell those stories that we don't know about.
Yeah.
Yeah. And well, these generations.
That's one of the impactful paintings I'm working on.
Yeah.
So yeah. I'm
Yeah.
also working on a Spider-Man painting.
What? Enter the verse. That one. Sony joint.
So you know, it's funny. I actually have one from that one.
Okay.
I mean, Into the Spider-Verse is
Yeah.
just artistically amazing.
Yeah.
So, actually, one of the paintings I did for the hotel was inspired by Into the Spider-Verse.
Yeah.
And
Cause that I mean that whole like movie has like so many different styles within it.
yeah, that, and so really, this painting is kind of that, but also inspired by one of the characters. So this one's more character. The other one was more like the story.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So here at the Gradient, we like to the purpose of the Gradient is for like Black people to be able to find their passion, so they can like live out their purpose.
Definitely.
Do you feel as if like you're living your purpose, like when it comes to like your art?
I do. I feel like, I mean, art is one of them things that's truly a gift from God. Like,
Yeah.
I don't even know how to do.
I think
stuff
singing
I do.
too. Not everyone can sing.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
but no, I think there's so many amazing gifts.
For sure,
I
yeah.
think visually, your eye. You know
Yes.
what I mean?
Yep.
And some of the things we're able to do, I think someone once told me I'm a builder. And and it's not just the thought of a builder, build a house, but I'm able to build the vision, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that's why art works with me so well, because I'm able to take that vision and display it,
Yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so for me, I forgot what the question was.
Are you living out your purpose? Do you think?
I
with
definitely
art?
feel like I am living out my purpose. I think it took me a while to really like get in my zone though,
Yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like I'm living my purpose on multiple levels.
Yeah.
Because I think we can have more than one purpose.
Oh yeah.
And I think that goes back to the different hats I wear,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
But I think all of the different hats I wear and the different purposes I have relate to the concept of me being a builder.
Yeah.
Because when you look at the heart of all of them, it's about building something.
Yes.
And so whether it's building community, whether it's building artistic vision, whether it's building financial freedom, whatever those things are, I think that might be the actual gift I have.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. 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 I mean, that's great for you to kind of like be living out that. And because there are a lot of people who do not have the opportunity to live out their purpose or purposes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's great that you've found like multiple and you're kind of like walking within them.
Yeah. And unfortunately, a lot of people don't realize it a lot of times
Mhm.
because we're so often thinking that singing is the only thing.
Yeah.
But some people are just good at talking. Some people are just good at,
yeah.
like, a lot of times we think it's like these high level skills, right? But a lot of times it's just, I'm great at networking. You know, I'm great at, and like people don't realize networking is one of the greatest skills ever.
Yeah. Yeah.
And everybody can't do it.
Yeah.
You know? And so sometimes we try to think of these high level passions and we miss the fact that we're actually good at this
Yeah.
one thing and really good at it because we keep looking for that. I'm trying to shoot threes like Steph.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But like,
Because you can see it.
yeah,
These are the things that you can see that's on like the TV screen, and so like, you correlate that to.
Yep, you can get some stats on it.
Exactly.
It's numerical.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's easier to find the value in that.
Yeah.
But like we all got multiple talents.
Yeah.
And it's just a matter of playing with it, you know?
Yeah. You know, when I first began like this like interview process of like interviewing like other people, I realized how much like interviewing is like a skill.
Yeah.
And like it's a you can be like an artist with it.
Yeah.
So I didn't realize it at first, like, but it's definitely like a skill to be able to communicate back and forth and like to keep the conversation alive.
Yeah.
And flowing.
To drive it.
Yes.
Yeah. That's a skill in and of itself.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, I'm definitely going through that process right now.
Oh yeah. And you'll only get better. And that's the thing. The
Yeah.
more you use it, the better you get at it.
Absolutely.
So like, and that's the funny part because as an artist, like, I'll see old work and be like, oh my God, that's so trash. But I'm the only one that sees that, of course.
Yeah.
And every artist does it. One of my favorite artists, man, I went to his show one time and I was like, yo, I love that piece. He was like, I hate that piece so much. I was like, really? But I mean, he saw all the flaws in it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And like, I don't see any of that.
Yeah.
You know, but sometimes we train our eye and that's what we see.
Yeah.
So like, I mean, like this painting here, I don't see anything wrong with that painting, but I'm sure the artist that did it would be like, yeah, you see this, this, and that.
Facts.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm kind of the same way with my Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
Like, because I don't delete anything. I don't delete anything. I don't like archive like anything.
Yeah.
And so like if you scroll down like my Instagram, you'll see like all of my older work.
Yeah.
But like when I look at it, I'm like,
Yeah.
but I see the progression over time,
Yeah.
and that's why I keep it up,
Yep.
because I want people to be able to see like
Yep.
whatever my success becomes.
Yeah.
Like it was a process
Yeah.
to getting to that point.
That growth.
That growth.
Yeah.
Even though I don't like it, I want people to be able to see that.
Yeah.
So that's why I keep it up.
I think that's important because it's almost like setting milestones for yourself.
Yeah.
It's benchmarking yourself.
Yeah.
You know, and you're able to see that growth, and you can see it, and it's important to see that. You know, it's funny like when you see people that delete like all their old stuff,
Yeah.
and they got like 6 pictures up there. But where did you come from? Like, what have
Exactly.
you been doing all this time? So
Exactly.
I think that's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's no such thing as a overnight success. It's a
Nah.
process.
Every person that you see,
Yeah.
they work their way up.
Yes.
Yeah.
To gears.
Yeah.
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 So you spoke about like NFTs and a little bit about like crypto.
Mm-hmm.
Do you see yourself diving into like other mediums?
I definitely could see myself diving into other mediums. I mean, even now, when you look at the artwork I produce, I don't just paint on canvas.
Mm-hmm.
I paint on anything the paint sticks to.
Yeah.
So I've done everything from, of course, your walls, your canvas, to vases, to I do this art block series. I've done basketballs for people. Like, I did a DJ stand for somebody.
Yeah.
If the paint sticks to it, yeah. And then when you look at like NFTs and digital artwork, I've started to play around with it. I haven't sold any NFTs. I like the concepts of it. I like these smart contracts that you can attach to them. So
Yeah.
I've been studying and learning. But I definitely could see myself in those
Yeah.
realms. Yeah.
Yeah. So what's next for you? Do you have a 3-year goal, 8-year goal for your work specifically?
So what's funny is I've actually been meditating on that a lot the last week or so, because every goal or milestone I have for myself, I crushed this year. And this year ain't even over yet.
Nah.
And what's funny is even like where I just came from, right? I just came from hanging some work over in Brewers.
Yeah.
And that had been like that was like an old goal I set for myself. I wanted to be in a space where people went to every day.
Yeah.
A restaurant of some kind. And I kind of forgot about it. Like that was like a goal I had years ago.
Yeah.
And because I've been so busy doing all these other
Other
projects,
stuff, yeah.
I forgot about it. And when AJ hit me up, I was like, oh yeah, I got some stuff for you. And I was hanging it, and I was like, yo, this was an old goal of mine to like.
It came to your mind once you did
It
it.
came to me, and I was sitting there thinking like,
That was that reminder.
I was like, yo, I started this year with a milestone to sell a certain number of paintings.
Yeah.
I beat that. I had other goals to do certain things. I've done all that.
Yeah.
So it's like, I gotta find some new things to think of,
Yeah.
But I will say, it's important to have those.
Yes.
I think it's very important to set those things. I think it's important to manifest those things.
Yeah.
Right. The world changed. So some of the goals I had for myself, say like back in 2020, the world changed greatly, and so now I've had to adjust some of those. So now I'm starting to reflect on some of those goals I had, and how attainable are they now?
Yeah.
Now that the world's starting to open back up again. So, going into 2022, I'm definitely I gotta set some new goals.
Yeah. Yeah. One thing I realized is like when you set goals and you write them down or you speak them, even if you say like, I want this to happen, I want this to happen, I want this to happen,
Yeah.
it never happens in consecutive order.
Yep,
Like,
definitely.
Just how you said, like
Yep.
you had this goal like a couple years ago,
Yeah.
and then probably some of the things that happened before that,
Yeah.
those were goals you had too that
Yeah.
you probably said afterwards.
Yeah.
And I realized that, the power of like speaking things into existence and the things that you desire.
Yeah.
But like everything that you speak of has its own appointed time, and things just take time. Like,
Yeah, I think one of the worst things we can do, and I think this is why a lot of people don't walk in their purpose, is because they set a goal for themselves, and they also say, okay, it's got to be done by this time.
yeah,
But sometimes it doesn't work like that, and then you end up setting yourself up for defeat, and you feel bad because you didn't accomplish it, right?
Yeah.
And so I think a lot of times when it comes to it, I think you set the goal, but sometimes you may have to adjust your timeline.
Yeah.
You know, because some things don't work on our time.
Nah.
They work on a different person. You know, they work on a higher timeline
Yeah.
than we can think of.
Facts.
But I think either way, it's important to have those goals.
Yeah. So this was a great talk.
Man,
It was a great talk. We almost like an hour in.
Are you serious?
Doesn't even feel like an hour, does it?
It doesn't, man. See, that's how, I mean, you know, I know we're cool outside this, so I know
Yeah.
we be chilling and vibing and talking. So it's just like sitting down talking to you like normal, you know?
Yeah.
We ain't even hit nothing too crazy, man, you
Yeah.
know?
Is there anything that you wanted to talk about?
Off the top of my head, I think if I'm talking to all my creatives out there, I think the biggest trap we do as creatives is we think of a concept, and then when we try to put it out there, and if it doesn't look like what we imagine it to look like,
Yeah.
we give up.
Yeah.
And I think that's the biggest trap as a creative that we can fall in. So if I'm talking to any creatives right now, I would tell them, you know, just go with the flow. Like, don't get so caught up. Don't be perfectionist, right? Like, let it out there. You know, I mean, I know you and I have had this conversation as well.
Yeah.
Like, sometimes you just got to let it out there
Yeah.
and catch the vibe,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, and I know so many people that are painters, and they're like, oh, I want to be a painter. I'm like, well, you are a painter.
Yeah.
They're like, nah, but when I paint it, it don't look like the picture. I'm
Yeah.
like, that's because you put it in your own way. Like,
Yeah.
art is a language, and we all speak differently.
Yeah.
Like, none of us say the same words the same way,
Nah.
but we're all communicating.
Yeah.
But we never say, man, he said here different than the way he said her, and you know what I mean? Like,
Yes. Yeah.
but we get so caught up in that sometimes that we don't realize our gift.
Yeah.
And so I say create and let everybody else figure out what you're saying. Like, don't try to conform to whatever you think you need to conform to, because there are no real rules when it comes to art.
Yeah.
I mean, you got to think, I came up in a style of art that there was no tutelage for. There were no classes.
Yeah.
All I knew was what I saw on the walls around me, and maybe in a magazine, because when I first started, the internet was minuscule. I mean, I didn't have social media and things to see what people were doing in Spain.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And I still look at art like this to this day. I'll tell you the craziest story real quick. When I was in high school, I never forget, I used to take every art class. Every quarter semester I had an art class. I did this project. I had a teacher that told me I should never paint again. Like, that's been one of my biggest motivations to this day.
That teacher.
A teacher literally told me in an art class I shouldn't paint. But, like, you supposed to teach me how to paint.
Yeah.
And so what's crazy about that, I never took another art class after that. Been self-taught ever since. I've taught myself everything I know, you know? I mean, I may get, like, you know, the homie may say, oh, yeah, try this, that, did it.
Yeah.
But, like, in terms of a formal teaching,
Yeah.
nah, bro, I walked away from that. I was like, you're not going to be able to tell me, one, that I can't do it, and two, like, I'm not going to give you that kind of power over my own styling.
Yeah.
You know? And I think from that, I developed who I was.
Yeah.
Because I walked away from it.
Wow.
You know?
Yeah. It's great that you didn't allow that to deter you, you know, because so often we have people who are get negative responses for things in life, especially at those foundational ages, in which, you know, that carries for a very long time.
Yeah.
And some people would never get back into it.
Yeah.
And because I thought you was gonna say, like, you just stopped doing art. But
Nah.
obviously you didn't stop doing art
Nah,
for like a long time.
I kept
but
going.
like you kind of like use that as fuel to be like, yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
I'm gonna keep going.
I'm gonna keep going, but I'm gonna do it my way without you.
Exactly.
You know, because when I was graduated from high school, I was actually admitted to the School of, I forget what it was, School of Art in San Francisco. And I went through everything, went to the orientations, everything, and then I was like, nah, I ain't gonna do this. And I walked away from it. But yeah, I mean, you gotta do you, and don't let nobody else tell you it's right or wrong.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah, so I definitely appreciate you coming out, us having this conversation, which was like extraordinary. I think honestly this was like my best interview so far. Because before I wouldn't say like I was nervous, but I was just kind of like getting adjusted to, you know, having these conversations back and forth with a person.
Okay.
So this was like pretty remarkable. Thank you for coming through.
Anytime, man. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely, definitely gonna have to do a part 2 as you continue to go down your journey and like your career and see what's happening next. This is Antonio Knox and Ron Stokes, and this was the Gradient Radio.
All right.